non-commonsensical bullshit.
My favorite term was woke supremacist. I love that because
you made that up?
No, I saw that and I thought this is brilliant.
Well,
somebody is a woke supremacist pretending to be all what's the word, tolerant, and they're the most intolerant sometimes.
They really are.
And they want to cancel people at the drop of a hat. I'm like, that's somebody's living. Like, relax, you know.
In this video, we joined Bill Maher on his Club Random podcast. Bill Maher and some uber-liberal actor actually have an honest conversation about how the woke left turns voters off, but Bill has to ruin it by insulting faith in Christianity. With that, let's watch Bill Maher and even a Hollywood actor discuss how batshit crazy the left has gone.
By myself.
But what do you say to the person who, like, gets eaten? Why didn't the God love him? You know what I mean?
Listen,
what about all the people who have the shitty outcome?
Oh, very good point.
You know, I used to say that about the Trump assassination when people would say, Bill, don't you think that's staged? I'm like, you moron. Of course it's not staged.
But I wondered about that too, though. Oddly enough, you know why?
Okay, well,
because you went down, and then you come back, and it's all
but okay, a bullet did go because
and somebody
it shot,
died there.
Right, that's my point. Yeah. It couldn't have been staged. And you know, people say God saved Trump. Where was the God for the other guy?
Yeah.
You know,
and here's what I will tell you about that. I do believe life is eternal. Like, this is just a phase. Like, what happens to us here is like a gestation period. Like, you're alive before you're born, but you're not technically born. Oh, let's get into abortion. No, I'm saying you're alive. You're evolving. You know, people think, are you into creation or evolution? And I'm like, I don't think they're mutually exclusive.
Really?
I think
do.
We evolve as people. Don't you?
Well, creationism says the world is 6,000 years old.
That's literal, yeah.
But that's creationism.
Yeah, but I believe we were. Again, our holy books are ill-preserved records of God-knowing men.
But, you know, this is what George Bush used to say when he was president. Like,
what?
Like, well, he was trying to, it was a big issue. Should we teach creationism in school? And he would say, teach evolution and creation, teach them both. And I would say, no, stupidity is not another form of knowledge. It's just a different thing on its own, and you shouldn't.
So Bill Maher kicks things off with the same tired atheist jab we've heard 1,000 times. If God saved Trump, why didn't he save the other guy? It's not a sincere question. It's a cheap shot wrapped in fake curiosity. This is what the left does. They don't ask questions to understand. They ask them to undermine faith, mock tradition, and pretend they're the smartest ones in the room. And of course, you had Bill Maher throw in his obligatory creationism is stupid comment. Because us Christians are so dumb, we just can't see the light of his profound logic. Guys like Bill are the reason that conservatives have to draw a line, because once you let people like this define the conversation, they rewrite everything. Look where we're at now. Faith is foolishness. Morality is oppression. And you're a bigot if you disagree. Anyway, back to it.
Teach both. You're allowed to believe whatever you want. I may be believing.
I disagree with you. I think you should teach both, and eventually, you don't have. One doesn't have to. Like, we as human beings are extremely contradictory.
Oh well, of course.
Okay, so for me, political parties, like, I'm too old for parties now. I love when you said I didn't leave the Democratic Party; the party left me.
I didn't say that.
Yeah, you did. I heard you say that.
No. I didn't.
What did you say? I heard you say that,
What you're doing, which is not wrong, is you're conflating what people have said in the past about leaving parties with.
But I recall you saying that.
Wait, I know me better than you know.
I don't know.
I'm just going to tell you. You're putting a title on an actual quote on something that somewhat accurately expresses my point of view. I understand why you said, but I never said that because I never was a Democrat to begin with. I always caucused with the Democrats, and I generally vote for them. I think always vote for them, but I always look at it and no, I'm going to actually make up my mind. They just always are less scary and insane than the Republicans. But I wait for the day when it evens out. We're approaching that because they have gotten crazier, and that's a lot of what you're referencing. But I never said I left the party because I wasn't there to begin with.
Well, you said something similar.
Very similar. I'm telling you, you have the general feeling right, but not that exact quote and not that exact feeling, because it's more than party. It's more like left and right.
Yeah.
The language changes, and I'm sorry, but woke got to be an eye roll. It wasn't.
If you like watching videos like this one, like and subscribe. We'd really appreciate it. Let's get back to the video.
Originally, but it got to be an eye roll for every crazy, way too far left, non-commonsensical bullshit.
My favorite term was woke supremacist. I
Right.
love that because
You made that up?
no, I saw that and I
Oh.
thought this is brilliant.
Well,
So
put it in.
somebody is a woke supremacist pretending to be
Right.
all what's the word, tolerant, and they're the most intolerant sometimes.
They really are.
And it's they
They-
want to cancel people at the drop of a hat. I'm like, that's somebody's living. You're like, relax, you know? The point I was trying to make was why I've always identified with the Democratic Party, and I still identify as a liberal at heart. You know, at heart,
I
I'm a
voted
liberal.
for her.
You know what my definition of liberal is? Is someone who wants to change the status quo for the better. You liberate yourselves from
You know what I always say to the
and conservative is someone who wants to conserve what works, what's good. And I
You
think
This clip is low-key peak Bill Maher. At first listen, you might say, this guy sounds pretty reasonable, but he's always completely missing the point. This clip shows exactly why so many Americans are done with the double talk on the left. Bill's trying to convince us he hasn't been a Democrat his entire life. He's not part of either party. But then he admits that he always voted Democrat and caucus with them. That's not a Democrat. Then it gets even more laughable, though. He does this whole I didn't leave the Democrat Party thing. He jumps all over his guest about this I left the left thing because it's not precisely what Bill wants to brand himself as or something. I really think it's like a prerequisite to be a Democrat to not be able to admit that your party, which Bill, your party is the Democrat Party, has gone off the rails. Like Bill wants to appear open-minded without ever really criticizing the left that he's pledged his whole life to, with the exception of the woke stuff. I feel like conservatives are just way more straightforward than liberals. Anyway, let's wrap it up.
You know what
we
I
need to
always
do
say to
both.
the super woke?
tell me.
We voted for the same person. You're just why she lost.
Ooh.
What?
Brutal.
Knife? You're saying I put the knife in, right?
No, but it's truth.
I love to put the knife in.
No, but you
I
do.
don't
But you know, I haven't
apologize
always.
for it.
You know, I was a huge fan, and then I said something on your show many years ago, and then I never got invited again. And I realized maybe I crossed a little line.
No, that's not why.
No, because remember,
No. It's because the show changed. We don't have celebrities. When I first did the show,
is that all I am to you?
No.
That's like an insult.
You're right, but you're right because and I will say to you, and I'm sorry,
No.
we should have had you more because you are one of the few celebrities who can like very, very credibly talk like a non-celebrity, and I mean that. I'm sorry to celebrities; they're lovely people, but thinking ain't their big thing usually. And you are a true thinker.
We have.
I'm going to end this on a positive note. I think that was actual real self-reflection by Bill there. And in this short clip I've seen of this guy, you haven't heard me ripping him like I typically rip Hollywood liberals because I think he is pretty reasonable. Because I think compared to what we're used to from that sphere, this guy's very reasonable. You know, I don't agree with him, but his bad ideas aren't rooted in just complete nonsense or just following the crowd. At least it appears like he's thought about things. But we want to hear from you. What did you guys think about this conversation on Bill Maher's podcast? Let us know in the comments. Anyway, as always, really appreciate you watching, and we will see you in the next one.